It's always fun seeing players that used to wear the scarlet and gray back inside the Woody supporting their brothers.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We made it. We made it to another Feel Good Friday here in the midst of the first round of the NCAA tournament. It's a great day to be alive, and it's a great day to be a Buckeye. Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to a Friday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, here on Friday, March 22nd in the year 2024. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast, and today's episode is brought to you by Nissan. Are you the kind of driver who likes to push things a little further? Ever wondered what adventure could be around the next corner? Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Check them all out today at nissanusa.com. One of those things that I love, absolutely love, is seeing former players inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center or watching a Buckeye practice. If you're on the sidelines at a game, I love seeing that too. I love seeing players like Bobby Carpenter, Joey Galloway, CJ Stroud, DeJuan Jones, and others at Ohio State watching practice, but also, maybe more importantly, supporting their brothers. Now, I understand that if you are a guy like a Joey Galloway or maybe a Bobby Carpenter, you may sometimes dial back the enthusiasm. I'm not saying these guys all do that, but if you're in that area where Carpenter hosts a local radio show and Galloway works for the ESPN, you might try to dial back your enthusiasm and your fandom. I understand it, but it's always fun seeing them when they show the support and the love for those that are currently wearing the scarlet and gray. CJ Stroud is that same way. He was recently at the Buckeyes Pro Day. Didn't have to show up. He could have stayed in Houston or wherever he wanted to be around the world, but he chose on that day to make it an appointment for him to be at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center rooting on his brothers, from Matthew Jones to Cade Stover, to Mayan Williams, whoever it was out there. It was fun seeing him out there and doing that. And he attributes a lot of the things that happened at Ohio State. They prepared him for the NFL, but he also said, in regards to being back at Ohio State's Pro Day, it was tremendously special. And I think that word tremendously special is great. Excuse me, that's not a word, it's a phrase. I believe that phrase is very, very big and pivotal to CJ Stroud, the person and the individual, and why he continues to rep Ohio State in the way that he does. Stroud was under a lot of scrutiny and a lot of criticism during his tenure at Ohio State, and some of it was things that he did on the field. Some of it was things and storylines that were somewhat made up, that weren't true. Whatever the case may be, Stroud was an individual that people had a certain way and a certain view of him when he was playing at Ohio State. I am like that. I'm sure you are like that. You may have had a positive outlook, a negative outlook. It could be somewhere in the middle, but people were very critical of Stroud when he was QB1 in Columbus. Now he's QB1 down in Texas, down in Houston. One of the best quarterbacks, one of the best rookie seasons we have seen in quite a long time. Some say the best ever. I don't go that far. Some say he's a top 5 quarterback. I'm not going that far either. But what I am saying is this: to have a guy do what he just did in the National Football League, to come back to the place that he played football on the day of the Pro Day and realizing the guy he threw the football to the most at Ohio State, or that was actually participating in that event, wasn't participating in Marvin Harrison Jr. So he could have just said, hey, man, I'm going to come back and support you individually. No, it's everybody in totality. And growing up, I heard a lot about this with the Miami Hurricanes. Guys like Warren Sapp and Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and all of those guys down there in Coral Gables heard a lot about how they used to go down there and work out and kind of coach the guys up and say, hey, man, this ain't right. This ain't right. This ain't how you're supposed to work out. This ain't how you're supposed to run this play. The way you guys are doing things on Saturdays, afternoons, and evenings, that's not how you do things. And they were down there saying, hey, this is our program. This is the way that we are supposed to do it. It's how we learned it. It worked. We got national championship rings to show you that it worked. So we're going to help you make sure that things get better. And I do believe at Ohio State, more players, and it would not be nice. I don't know, and player people are busy, they got families, all that kind of stuff. But man, imagine if Stroud is there and you see not just DeJuan Jones, but you also see a Chris Olave or a Garrett Wilson and all of these other guys. Let's just say there are 20 or 25 guys that they said, hey, we're going to show up at the pro day. We ain't working out. No, we're just supporting the Ohio State Buckeyes. That would speak volumes. And honestly, you may get more guys to do amazing things like Michael Hall Jr. did, having 25 reps at 225 on the bench press there at the pro day, because, hey, your adrenaline gets going, you get amped up, you don't want to let the guys down. You want to do some things to impress them. That is simply natural and things we all want to do. I get it. And Stroud being back there is huge. It's big. And speaking of Michael Hall Jr., he is one of those guys that were at Ohio State's pro day, didn't test at the combine. We kind of documented it here that he was dealing with an injury that kept him out of working out there at the combine. But I saw somebody say, and I don't know if this was an exact weight from the day, 299 pounds, running a 4.7, whatever 40. Don't know what the other point was there, but 4.7, whatever 40. That ain't normal. He is what some call a freak of nature. He has the ability to be super twitched up and know how to use that twitchiness on the football field. And you can see one-on-one pass rep drills from the Senior Bowl. Oh, wait, you don't want to just have one-on-one reps? You can have reps when he was at Ohio State and say, oh, Michael Hall Jr., he's a dude. He is a dude. And even though things were not the way that many of us wish they would have been when he was at Ohio State, he is someone that can use that day where Stroud came back to root him on to say, hey, man, look, I get it wasn't all the right things at this point in time. I know I didn't get all the playing time that we all wish I would have had. How about we change things up, turn that heat up a notch, crank that bad boy up, turn that intensity all the way up to let me see what happens when I'm on the field. And when Stroud comes back, and let's just say Jonathan Hankins comes back, you get so many other guys that come back to the Woody for that day. Stroud, DeJuan Jones, I'm sure there were others. I know Bobby Carpenter was there, saw him, actually heard him on the podcast, their live show they do on Mondays at Roosters. And he said his dad was coming into town or was going to be with him that day for the pro day. And let's just say Bobby Carpenter, Joey Galloway, and other guys, I'm sure Coach Herbstreit was there. I didn't see a picture or anything, but I am sure he was there too. It would just make sense. How about more guys show up? And one thing I take away from this from CJ Stroud, and I believe I heard this from the podcast, I forget if it was Austin Ward or Bill Landis speaking, but they said when Stroud was out there at the end of the pro day, all the cameras, well, I won't say all, because I heard that one didn't go over, but almost all of the cameras went to Stroud. The news stations and the media outlets went over to Stroud to get an interview. And Stroud said, hey, go talk to those guys that just worked out. I'm going to be here. I am going to be here. I am not going anywhere. Go talk to them. They are why we are here. Y'all can come back to me after that. That's not a word for word what he said, but it does speak volumes about the character of Stroud. And he realizes, even though I am here and I may be the biggest name here, this day is not about me. This is about them. Go talk to them, and it politely, in his way of talking about it, come back to me. We can talk later, but go talk to those guys. They did some amazing things in front of you, and they deserve to be talked to before you speak to me. Stroud is a great representative of Ohio State, maybe ambassador of Ohio State, and honestly, him coming back, he describes it as tremendously special, and I describe it as tremendously special as well. Ryan Day recently had a very inspirational phone call with Jim Tressel, and it helped him make some changes that would help the Buckeyes in the upcoming season. We'll dive into what happened in that call next on Locked On Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by the spring cleaning champions, Manscaped. This season, make sure to groom your carpets and the drapes with the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. Clear out that winter bush with Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0 and watch your confidence bloom like the springtime flowers. Embrace the season and join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our special offer. Go to manscaped.com and use code LOCKEDON for 20% off plus free shipping. After using Manscaped, I can finally say I have caught the spring fever. Introducing the season's champ, the Lawnmower 5.0. Their 5th generation trimmer features 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little off the top, and a new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. It also features dual LED spotlights to guide you through the darkest winter debris. Navigate with confidence in your delicate areas. Hate making a mess? Not to worry. This bad boy is waterproof. Shave in the shower, in the bath, or even in the ocean. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code LOCKEDON at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code LOCKEDON at manscaped.com. Nothing like a little spring cleaning in your pants. This episode is also brought to you by Gametime. Gametime is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and even theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you're able to know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show you your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. Buy tickets in seconds with only 2 taps. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I always love when I hear Jim Tressel's name, and it's in regards to things going on currently at Ohio State. I don't want to reminisce and go backwards and think about the time period when he was at Ohio State, where took the Buckeyes to, and they won the national championship. They appeared and played in 3 national championship games in a span where that was one of those time periods that really drew me to Ohio State, and it's why I am the fan that I am today. The standard is high. It needs to stay high. And at times when things need to get better and need to go to another level, you need to find a way to tap into people that can help you accomplish your goal. In comes something Ryan Day did this offseason. Now, I don't know if this is something that he does all of the time, every offseason. But what is documented is that Ryan Day recently made a lot of phone calls to different coaches and different people, just simply trying to get some help, trying to get some clarity on things that are going on and how to really help the team be better. One of them is the special team situation. You let go of Parker Fleming, your special teams coordinator and special teams coach. And what ended up happening is they needed some help. Not only with that, I'm sure there were other things on Ryan Day's mind that he needed help with. So I'm not going to say that was the only thing. However, they needed help. And we all need help every now and then in our occupations or just in our lives. So Jim Tressel told Ryan Day about a decision that he did when he was at Ohio State, and it helped the players, it helped the team, which is why Ryan Day is dividing it and giving special teams duties to position coaches right now. It's a group of 2 tag team coaches that will handle 2 special teams units while Day oversees the entire operation. Matt Guerreri and James Leonidas will handle the punt and kickoff duties, while Keenan Bailey, the tight ends coach, and Brian Hartline, the receivers coach, they'll handle punt and kick return. Now, think about the way that he is dividing this up right now currently. You got McArary and James Laurinaitis are two guys that are first-time position coaches at Ohio State. They're handling punt and kickoff. Who are going to be in the punt and kickoff teams? The guys that they're going to be coaching every single day. And you have Keaton Bailey and Brian Hartline. Who are the guys that they're going to be coaching? Guys that they're coaching every single day. Now I understand Bailey is more with the tight ends, but think about the hands team. There are going to be times you're going to have a tight end or two on that unit. Now, granted, there might be a bigger body there to hit and to kind of pave the path for the guy that is on Ohio State receiving the onside kick. But hey, you never know. They may need their hands on the hands team too, not to block, but to secure the ball that is an onside kick that is coming at them when they may not be expecting it. This is great. One, smart by Jim Tressel to do this way back when he was coaching at Ohio State. Two, phenomenal job by Ryan Day to make a lot of phone calls to really get some help in some areas while coaching at Ohio State. But three, great way of dividing it up. Now, if he decided Tim Walton over McArary, I would not have been really upset with that. But you realize you're a newer coach. You're going to have different duties. And sometimes the duties that are sometimes the ones that things that are special teams. Not a bad thing at all. But for Laurinaitis and McArary, they can definitely make their mark as a coach at Ohio State in this area. But also for Hartline and Bailey, that duo, you got Bailey in, I believe, his second year as a tight ends coach at Ohio State. And then you got Hartline, who's been here for a long time, former player and long time coach. I am here for this move. And if this is a sign of what Ryan Day might do in the future, look, other coaches, if you have the consultant, and I know Jim Tressel has done consulting work in the past, actually, after leaving Ohio State, getting fired, whatever you want to describe it as. He's kind of forced out of Ohio State. He did a year of consulting for the Indianapolis Colts. And, hey, if you want that guy as a consultant for you after he just retired, so be it. I'm here for it. I am glad. And for Ryan Day, we continue to see the growth that he has shown throughout this offseason. There have been guys, I'm sure, in the past that they have really, really wanted that were in the portal, but didn't really go and pursue them. Yes, they would have made them better, but for whatever reason, you just didn't do it. For right now, Julian Sand, if you say, hey, you could get him, you go do it, great, go do it. It's a phenomenal get. Caleb Downs, Quinshawn Judkins, if you want them, you can get them, great. Will Howard, if you want a guy like that and you believe he makes you better, go do it. And Ryan Day is showing growth all offseason. And when I asked Jeff Hunt previously earlier this week if I believe Ryan Day will make the right moves in the season, I understand that part of that is me hesitation and realizing what Day has done during his 5 years as being the head coach at Ohio State and made a lot of the right moves. But sometimes some of the moves that were bad or a little off or a little abnormal didn't always go and didn't sit well with me, which is okay. Not everything is going to sit well with me, but that's where sometimes my hesitation comes from. But if Day stays on this path, if Day continues to show everybody and to prove everyone that he is on the right path, that he is making the right moves, ultimately, this could be great for Ohio State. And ultimately, it could be a lot of teams in college football will be really upset with how Ohio State plays in the fall. One thing I am not upset with is how the Buckeye basketball team is playing right now. Their next game in the NIT tournament is tomorrow, 7 o'clock on ESPN+. And Jake Diebler has done one thing, made a big impact on this team when he took over. I'm going to dive into that impact here next as the show rolls on. This week's March Madness Bracket Highlight is brought to you by our friends at Nissan. Each week, we're picking one team that stands out, a team that's pushed it further than the rest, just like any of the all-new 2024 Nissan SUVs. These guys were able to take it to the next level. The Yukon Huskies can only be described as an armada. This top-seeded team is as hardcore as it gets out there. So it's no wonder they landed the top overall seed of the NCAA tournament. They're one of the favorites to win it all, despite 4 of the 6 Power 6 conference champions standing in their way in the East region. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop nissanusa.com. Thank you, everyone, for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen every day. And the everydayers are people that have been here and realize this show used to do a lot more shows about basketball and daily ones reacting to games and giving little different analysis, but kind of fallen off of late of providing that here on the show. It's been more of a football-heavy show because football has dominated the headlines here at Ohio State. Holtmann being gone definitely changed things, but Diebler made an instant impact, Jake Diebler that is, when he was named interim head coach upon Chris Holtmann's firing. But then when he was named full-time head coach, there was a belief from numerous former Buckeye players that said, hey, we believe and we back this young man as the next head coach at Ohio State, which is why I believe a part of the reason Diebler got a 5-year contract. I was not expecting him to get a 5-year contract. I was thinking maybe a 3-year or a 3+1, but a 5-year contract, y'all, that's a lot of belief and a lot of confidence in a man that has never, ever been a head coach in college basketball. However, I do think the way that Jake Diebler has approached this position, first as the interim and then as the full-time head coach, and the way he is currently tackling it right now, imagine, one is great. It's a phenomenal thing, and I do believe it was a great hire for Ohio State. But also, two, think about this. He is currently 7-2 since he's led and took over for Chris Holtmann as the Buckeyes head coach. Snapped a long road losing streak, beat and won a game at East Lansing in a place that the Buckeyes normally don't win. And what is it? Confidence. But also, it's not just the confidence he provides and he preaches, but also he is someone that is shaking things up a little bit. But the players also believe in him. I am not saying the players didn't believe in Holtmann. I am not going that far. I think if they didn't believe in Holtmann, Del Bono would have transferred to Ohio State, or Jamison Battle would have transferred to Ohio State, or Evan Mahaffey would have transferred to Ohio State. So there's a lot of things that go into saying somebody does not believe in someone, especially when players are talking about are players that were not at Ohio State previously. Ultimately, they are there right now. And so I think about this current situation at Ohio State in regards to the basketball program. Jake Diebler has done something via the morale that I don't think was happening previously. Which is why when it comes to the belief and the confidence in what Diebler is doing, I am backing it. I am backing him right now, 100%, no questions asked. I am backing Jake Diebler. And I do believe the Buckeyes can make some noise, make the way to Hinkle Fieldhouse, the final site for the NIT tournament. And hey, if they have a team good enough to win it, trust me, I'm not saying they don't. They have a team good enough to win it, because early in the season, I was recently talking about this to my wife, and she was talking about Buckeye basketball and some things that were going on. And I was, in my head, it popped in. I said, I remember on this show, the Everydayers remember me discussing, well, this team, this roster is put together in a way that is different than other Holtmann rosters, and this team can definitely make some noise in the postseason. And back then, I was thinking NC2A tournament, they can get out of the first weekend of the tournament. When Holtmann was coaching, when they had not done that since Chris Holtmann became the head coach at Ohio State. And so I was being really optimistic and positive, but also I had no reason to not be optimistic or to have a different outlook or observation about this team. Currently, as it stands right now, this team is rolling and it's clicking. And think about this style before we wrap up the show. Think about how it would have been if Ross Bjork, not Gene Smith, Ross Bjork decided to go outside of Columbus to go get a different coach. Now, the hot name out there is Dusty May at Florida Atlantic. He's a Midwest kid. I don't know exactly what Midwest state he is from, but I know he is known for being a manager under Bobby Knight when Bobby Knight was running the basketball program in Bloomington, Indiana, the Indiana Hoosiers. And so Dusty May also took his team, Florida Atlantic, had a deep tournament run. So I do understand why Dusty May's name is out there. But imagine how things would have been. I'm not saying Dusty May would have been a bad hire. Trust me, I think it would have been a really good hire, potentially great hire. But also, you got guys at Ohio State that even if they make it into the NIT, well, you bring in somebody different. Diebler does not get the job. Diebler could go off somewhere else and get a head coaching job if they did not hire him. But also, you could lose recruits. Hey, coach is gone. I'm going to decommit. I don't want to stay here and be committed to Ohio State, even though I signed. Let me get out of my national letter of intent. Okay, that's one thing that could happen. You got guys that are actually currently on the team that can say what? Well, I think it's best for me to enter the portal, which is currently open right now, to go and try to find a different place to play basketball. Now, the thing about the portal, same way in football as it is in basketball, you get into that bad boy, and ultimately you could come back. Happened to, I believe it was Bryson Rogers, ended up entering the portal and ended up coming back to Ohio State. So that is one thing that could be true. I don't believe you're going to get somebody like a Caden Proctor, who was at Alabama, transferred to Iowa, where he is from, been there for a couple months and said, well, I'm thinking about going back to Alabama. I don't think it's going to happen at Ohio State in this situation. That one's also an abnormal one and very interesting because Proctor, leaving upon Nick Saban's retirement, goes back home. Was he homesick? Was he not? I don't know. I don't know what got him to go back to Alabama or even think about going to Alabama, but that's the way things are. Also, with that one little note, the portal's not open yet for college football, so that he could be putting it out there to say, well, y'all got money in Iowa? I know y'all do. Y'all want to pay for me to stay here? NIL, those collectives, y'all want to help me fatten up my bank account so I can stay here and play the football? I don't know. I am just saying, in the NFL, in professional levels, in college football, and collegiate athletics, there are times people put things out there into the universe to see what the feedback is, even though the feedback that they get, knowing the feedback that they get will determine and sway their minds one way or another. But I do think that Diebler hire is huge. He has a full handle on the basketball team right now. Now, it's going to be different recruiting as the Buckeyes head basketball coach and not as an assistant coach or associate head coach. That is different. But this is a great hire. And something else to think about. This is something I've been thinking about. My wife and I went to the Ohio State-Maryland game, what was it, about a month ago now? I think it was a double overtime game. Buckeyes ended up winning. Roddy Gale hit that, threw down that windmill at the end of the game. They got everybody hyped. Trust me, it was kind of a dull game most of the time. And all of a sudden, they got hype at the end. Roddy Gale hit that windmill. I got up. My wife got up. Everybody in the place is yelling and cheering and excited because of the way that the game ended. During that game, I remember looking at Chris Holtmann numerous times. A lot of it was in frustration. And I don't know if this is normal of Holtmann in the games he's coached at Ohio State. But I saw Chris Holtmann. He is at you're looking at the scores table. He's at the far left of the scores table where the Buckeyes bench is. He's at the end of that side. Next to him is Jake Diebler, who is at the end seat on the Buckeyes bench. There were numerous times I would look over at Holtmann, and Holtmann was looking at Diebler for whatever reason to kind of get maybe some advice or things and say, hey, what do you see? What is going on? I don't know. Now, I've watched a lot of basketball, high school basketball, a lot of college basketball, a lot of NBA basketball. I don't always remember seeing a coach look at his head assistant as many times as Holtmann did in that game. That's something that caught my eye and caught my attention about Jake Diebler. Not only is he trusted by the coaches, trusted by the administration, the man that he was under trusted him so much in those moments to look at him and talk to him. And it almost looked like Holtmann was trying to get advice. Now, trust me, I don't know what was being said, but it just seemed odd how many times Holtmann turned to Diebler to get some advice from him. I don't know the impact Diebler has on his basketball program currently right now. It is great. It's huge. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the Buckeye basketball program does in the NIT and also in the years beyond, the years that are ahead of us as Jake Diebler leads the Buckeyes basketball program. Out of here, y'all. on a Feel Good Friday. Man, the tournament, as we're recording this right now, the tournament, the NCAA tournament, is being played. I am excited. I love it. I hope you are too. Now, I will say this. Don't neglect your family and friends, your loved ones during this tournament. I would not say that. Don't neglect them, but also enjoy the basketball while it is here in front of us. We're out here on a Feel Good Friday. You can follow me on X at jstevens07. You can also send all of your emails to jstevens317@gmail.com. We're out here on a Friday. We'll see you Monday. Have a good one, y'all.